Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing I'd say pretty highly anticipated video. I have gotten a ton of requests over the last couple months about doing a video on these perfumes, as it was a little bit of a hot take, a little bit of a hot topic for a while now. Today we're going to be talking about the new Kemi line from Xerjoff, the new K Blue line in particular. I have the 4 fragrances here with me. This new K Blue line is just a refresh of their old Kemi line. I have an old bottle here. This is what the old bottles used to look like, and when I show you the new bottles, you'll kind of see the inspiration that they pulled from the old designs. And this was a fragrance release that really piqued the interest of a lot of people. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of requests, not only because a lot of people know that I really am a huge fan of the Xerjoff line, but just because there was a bit of controversy in the launch. There was some issues, some bugs on the Xerjoff website where the Kemi Blue line wasn't available for people in America to order. So it created a little bit of a frustration, but that's been resolved, and now the perfumes are back up on the Xerjoff site, available to purchase in the United States. So I will say before we jump into it that I think this is a line that real fragrance connoisseurs will really appreciate. It's something that is a little different and something that is not typical at all. None of these are like a traditional mass appealing fragrance at all. These are for people that really like to test limits with their fragrances. It's very important that you try these all on your skin, because paper does not do any of them justice. You really have to have that experience of having the fragrance just bloom and come to life on your skin when you're sampling these. And all of these fragrances are new scents. It's related to the old collection, but all of these are new scents, new bottles, new look, new design, and new scents. So let's jump into it. So we'll start with the one that really surprised me the most, one that I was not expecting to be my favorite, but in the end came around to being my #1 Kemi from the K Blue collection. This one is called Ether. And like I said, in the bottle design, you can see the inspiration that they pull from the old bottle. The new designs are so beautiful, very cathedral, very elegant. I think the best way to describe it is just, it's very cathedral and very, very regal. It's like a very thought-provoking bottle, and I love the caps. It really pulls the inspiration from the old ones. Really beautiful. I love the design of the K Blue collection, but let's smell this fragrance. And like I said, Ether is one that ended up growing on me. Upon first smell, it was not my favorite. I wouldn't say that I necessarily disliked it, but it definitely was not the top on my list. But after trying it a few times and smelling it on myself, it really grew on me, and I can very safely say that it is my favorite from the K Blue line. It opens almost with the slightest touch of this animalic note, but also very, very caramelly. There's a really beautiful sweetness in this, and as it dries down, it just gets more gourmand, in my opinion. There is a lot of cumin in the opening in this, which I think is what makes it a little very slightly animalic. But as the fragrance dries down, that cumin really goes away, evaporates, and just leaves you with this most beautiful, like caramelly oud fragrance. The notes in here in the opening, we have Calabrian bergamot with Brazilian and Mandarin orange, with some Amalfi lemon and some Bulgarian rose with that cumin. And in the mid here, we have some benzoin, we have some cypriol oil, some Siberian pine, this like really nice green touch, with some clary sage, some balsam, which this fragrance is pretty balsamic, some lavender, and a base of oud. You'll see that's kind of a running theme in this collection is oud, with some Madagascan vanilla, with some caramel, sandalwood, and musk. You definitely get this caramel throughout the life of this fragrance, but it's a very realistic caramel. It's not like a really sweet candy-like caramel. It's like a very rich caramel smell, and it's very musky as well. It's a very sexy fragrance, I will say, but also very elegant at the same time. All of these fragrances, you'll find there's these really amazing touches of earthiness in them. All of them are inspired by the earth. It's kind of like an homage to Mother Earth, but the dry down in this is just stunning. It dries to this really beautiful, musky, woody, beautiful caramel scent. It's very, very realistic and very easily my favorite, and the rose in this is just so elegant and so beautiful. So that is Ether. And next we'll go to one that I was not in love with. As you guys who have watched some of my past videos will know, I've talked about this briefly in my 5 I love, 5 I hate fragrance, and this one sadly did not make it on the love. This one was not a favorite for me at all. It's one that I think you have to be a real fragrance connoisseur to really enjoy this. This one is Holysm. I'm not going to dwell on this one too much just because I do not like to say really negative things about fragrances, but this one is just not for me. That does not mean that it might not be for you. It could be your thing, who knows. For me, this is just a very green fragrance. It's very medicinal in the opening for me. So the notes in here, we have some cade oil, we have balsam fir, some clary sage, there's some thyme and tobacco with cedar and caraway and laudanum. There's something very spicy in here, very green, something very, very herbal with just a touch of this like smokiness. It's very mature and fougere-like, but there's something in this that is just so, it's almost like a chili spice mixed with the green. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's amazing how sometimes some fragrances just do not work for some people, and then for some other people it's their favorite thing in the whole world. It's amazing how personal fragrances for so many different people. But this one, you just really have to be able to appreciate the artistry behind it, and you have to like something that is very, very bold. If you like Ilm or Kemi from the old collection, I think you'll really like this one. But for me, it's not my favorite. So moving on, we're gonna talk about Astaral, which is, in my opinion, the most probably mass appealing of the bunch. This is a very beautiful ambery rose oud fragrance. It's not like a typical rose oud at all. There's some added depth to this dimension that you don't normally find with this kind of scent combination. It's a very warm and inviting scent in the air. So the notes in here, we start off with a very interesting note that I had never heard of before called shamama, with some pink pepper and anise. Really beautiful addition, adding the anise note with a mid of rose, with some labdanum and amberwood, some violet with the base of oud, moss, amber, cedar, and patchouli. All of these fragrances, though, I will say they smell very rich. There's one thing that you can't deny is the quality of these fragrances. You can really smell the richness of the oils that are in these perfumes. They all smell very expensive and very rich. Just phenomenal quality products. This one I love because it's very jammy. It's very dewy as well. Just mixed with that amber facet. It's just beautiful. This one is for sure the safest blind buy of them all. This is one that I think a lot of people would really enjoy, especially if you know that you already love rose oud style fragrances. This is one that is just, it's more unique than what you'll find on the market today with that added amberiness and the anise. It just really draws a special interest to it. And in the air, it's just phenomenal. It's just the ultimate elegant fragrance. For a man or woman, I think this one is totally unisex. I know a lot of men, especially that are watching me, love to wear rose oud fragrances. This is definitely one to try. And if you wanted to know, shamama is a mixture of very earthy and balsamic qualities. Probably the one that most people are going to gravitate towards. This was the one that I thought was going to be my favorite, but then Ether ended up being at the top of my list. But this one is just stunning. I really love wearing this for a night out, date night. There's just something about a very quality rose oud fragrance that just feels so luxurious. But now we'll talk about the fourth fragrance in the K Blue line. This is Empyrian. And this one is a very strong, leathery tobacco fragrance. I don't think that tobacco is really the main accord of this, but it's definitely there in the background. For me, just smelling, like, it's almost slightly chocolatey, which I think is just the oud that's in here. I think that sometimes oud can kind of lean in a very high quality oud. I think it kind of leans in a very like gourmand kind of sweet direction, but I could be crazy. You never know. It's super, super, super masculine. The most masculine out of the collection. This is just a very strong and powerful man. It's kind of incensey as well. The notes in here, we have tobacco leaf with some cypriol oil, with a mid of patchouli, some incense, atlas cedar with a base of labdanum, amber, and Madagascan vanilla. It's beautiful and creamy, but you definitely feel the cedar in this as well. It's very woody, but at the heart of it, there's just a really beautiful leathery, very slight tobacco facet. I know a lot of people in the reviews on this say that it's just like a very strong tobacco. It's there, but it's not the star of the show in this at all, I don't think. It's really like a very green, it's a tobacco leaf. It's very green. And the vanilla in this is just so stunning. It's almost like a very rich, creamy, like bourbon vanilla. On the strip, this one is very powdery, but on the skin, this one it just comes to life in the most amazing way. Absolutely beautiful for a man. I recommend all the men watching me to grab a sample of Empyrian. It's really something special. In my experience with these bottles, I will say that I believe that they all needed to macerate after the first spray. Like, these smell so much better. I think it's been like a month or two after I sprayed them when I first got them versus where they are today. I think the juice is just so so much better after a little bit of maceration. And just the whole line is a beautiful homage to Mother Earth. And if you love the old Kemi perfumes, you definitely need to try these out and you will not be disappointed by them. And why did Xerjoff release 4 at the same time? This was actually a project that they were working on during the pandemic, and they were just waiting for the perfect time to launch this line, so they launched the K-Blue collection all at once at the end of the pandemic. It's been a little bit of a controversial release, but I've shared my thoughts with you on each fragrance, so I would love to hear yours. If you guys have tried the Kemi line, the K-Blue line, I would love to know your thoughts. Did you know about the old Kemi line? And what did you think about those? I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of these fragrances are available on Xerjoff's official website, which I will leave linked below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.